What's up everybody, Smoky Ninja here, and today I want to give you some tips and tricks that you can change in settings to give you the edge in Battlefield 6. Now these settings are sort of preference, but they can give you an edge on the battlefield that not too many people know about. Now if you go through your accessibility settings, you pretty much can scroll through all the necessary settings that you need to set up, in my opinion. Now for color profiles, I prefer the custom. I like to set them up my own way so that way they're more visually pleasing to myself, but not only that, but I can see them better through each different scenario. You can go into your color profiles and modify them to set them to whatever custom you want to, with a cool little color wheel that you can set up to make it exactly the color that you want to. Or you can just leave them default and play it the original Battlefield way. A couple of the settings that I recommend any person to turn on would be the crouch toggle sprint. Let's change that to crouch, to where it allows you to stay in the crouch state whenever you go to sprint, so you can move throughout the battlefield while still staying behind cover. It defaults to stand whenever you go to sprint, so if you were crouched already and you go to sprint, it will make you stand up, and that will allow you to lose your cover. If you were just trying to move fast-paced between building to building, it's typically better to keep yourself as small as the target as you can. Also, another thing that I like to turn on would be the single tap for slide. Now if you tap it once by default, you're just going to go into a crouch stance while running. But if you turn this off, whenever you tap it once while running, it'll allow you to slide to keep your mobility up in the battlefield and get behind cover as fast as possible. And another setting that I recommend every Battlefield diehard player to turn on is your request revive. Please, for all the medics out there in Battlefield 6, please turn your request revive to toggle. You just press the button once, have a nice little siesta while all the medics on your team rush to your aid to pick you back up and get you out on the battlefield. This not only helps you stay active and on the battlefield, it also helps your medics keep the pressure on the enemy and keep you in the battlefield. A couple of other things that I would recommend will be in your graphic settings or your visual settings. I recommend you turning your field of view up to the setting that you like the most. I like to keep mine at max so that way my peripheral vision, I can see people moving in and out of it pretty easily because I have a wider field of view than what most people do. Now you can adjust this to whatever your preference is. You don't have to turn it all the way up to max, but whatever allows you to see the most of what is in front of you, you should definitely play around with this setting. Another couple of settings I recommend is the motion blur kind of just gets in the way. I definitely know that it looks aesthetically pleasing, but in all honesty, if you're blurring all the things you're trying to see whenever you're turning in a fast-paced environment, such as the buildings and war zones that Battlefield 6 comes with, the motion blur can really hinder you from actually seeing the enemy standing in the corner or running towards you, and when you're just in a turning fast-paced motion. Another thing that I recommend turning down is the camera shake amount. Now I have a few friends who turn it all the way down to 20. I like it at 50 because it keeps me immersed in the battlefield. It makes me feel like I'm really on the battlefield without it feeling like I just hit a 9.0 earthquake. I definitely recommend you going into your audio settings and giving War Tapes a chance. War Tapes gives you that raw, aggressive kind of sound of war around you with the explosions and the gunfire in the background, but more importantly, it kind of gives you a little bit better sense of direction as to where the footprints are coming from. You will hear enemy soldiers running through the battlefield, kicking up rocks and the chains on their weapons and all of these things. You'll hear it a lot better if you have the War Tapes on. I recommend giving it a shot, but again, it's a preference thing. Make sure that you have your sound set it to where you can hear the most of what's around you. Now, if you're a console player, there is one other setting that you may want to look into. It's going to help you get the edge on the people who are coming up behind you to shoot at you, or just to turn very quickly, almost in an insane sort of speed. That is to go to your controller settings, go all the way down to where you can controller tune, and go to your flick look settings. Now basically what this is it allows you to map a key to your flick look to where you will immediately pull a 180 as fast as possible. Now you can set this speed even higher than what the default is, so that way you look back at insane speeds. You can also do this with your vehicles if that's what you prefer, and it will definitely give you a little bit more of an edge when it comes to rushing people on the battlefield and getting that jump on somebody who thinks they already have you dead to rights. Well, thank you guys. That's my tutorial on the settings there. I hope that it helps you out in the battlefield and helps you bring the A game every time. Make sure you keep your head down, keep your gun pointed at the enemies, and always be on that objective. I will see you guys out on the battlefield.